first we want the command block output set. I sound dead inside. Fuck it, I'm redoing it. Hello everybody, it's Volpex here, and welcome back to Project MAMC. Before we begin the video, we're first going to do a little tutorial on how to use command blocks and how to set up. If you by any chance know this, seen this, or just plain out don't care, you can go straight to the video using this time step right here. Without further ado, let's begin. First things first, we want to give ourselves a command block. In order to do that, we have to write this command right here in chat. We want to give ourselves, put your name, and then command block. And like that, you've given yourself a command block. Command blocks have three different types. There's the impulse, which will only run its command once. There's the chain, which will only run its command if the command block previous to it activates. There's the repeat, which will repeat its command as long as it is active. Now, there's the conditions. Conditions mean that it'll only run under certain conditions. Conditionals work well with chain blocks because if we have a conditional chain command block here, that means that even if this one activates but fails to run, this one won't run. This can only run if the one previous to it succeeds. Then there is the redstone, which is pretty self-explanatory. If you choose needs redstone, then it needs redstone in order to activate, such as a lever or any form of redstone. And if it's set to always active, then it'll always be active. There is the tick delays. Ticks is what the game uses in order to tell the time, in a sense. And 20 in-game ticks is 1 second in Minecraft. That means here we have 1 second. We can have 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and so on and so forth. If you just leave it to 0, then it'll run the instant that the previous or the moment that it receives power. And the command input, which pretty self-explanatory. Here's where you're going to be writing your command blocks, such as TP, execute, and so on and so forth. And with that, we've finished command blocks. Next up is game rules. We want to set a couple game rules in order for the commands that are constantly running do not annoy us, such as command block output. This one's very useful if you have many commands in your world, because if it were set to true, you would be seeing a lot of that. So in order to not see the command block's outputs, we want to set it to false. Like that. That isn't here to annoy us anymore. Next one is send command feedback. This is another one that would be annoying if it was on, because it would constantly be telling us everything we are doing with the commands. Or if we suddenly get teleported, it'll also tell us that. And if it were something like a adventure map, we don't want that showing whenever we TP someone to somewhere else. So, set that one to false. And like that, we finished game rules. Next, we're going to go to scoreboards. Scoreboards are very useful, since with these you can add or subtract numbers to a player, such as a range. We can have a range of 1 or 2. Now, we're first going to create an objective since we're going to be using this a lot for many different things. So, in order to add an objective for scoreboards, we write scoreboard objectives add. Then we give it a name to the objective. In this case, we can just use range since we'll be using that one a lot. Then we write dummy, and the display name can just be the same thing. Once you do that, it will create the score, and don't mind the error. That's just because we already have it. But if it works, you should have a score or an objective of range that you can use on the commands. And with that, we can go straight to the video. Hello everybody, it's Untitled Chapter here, and welcome back to Project NMEMC. Today we'll be showing the basics for stands, which will be used a lot during the coming videos for Jotro, Dio, and so on and so forth. First things first, we want to create our stand. Okay, that already has one. We want an armor stand. We'll give it a head. Well, there we go. And some boots. And with that, we have an armor stand, which we'll be using as our stand. And then we'll give it the name of stand, which we'll be using for the rest of the tutorial. Before we begin, we'll be using these items, the iron ingot, and for later, the iron sword. Now, we first want to create the commands that will remove the tag of stand user and give the tag of stand user. Stand user is the tag we'll be using for the rest of the tutorial. Of course, if you're making your own stand, you can change it. Once you're done, you can add yourself the tag. And with that, we can go straight to stand follow. First, we want to test for the stand user. Once we have that, we'll want to put a redstone torch. This is in order for when there isn't a stand user. We don't want this armor stand to just stay wherever it is after we remove the tag. So we teleport it over here once we don't have it. Let's say I remove the tag, it'll go over to there. Just like that. Let's just give ourselves a tag. Then, if it's active, we want it to teleport the armor stand behind the stand user. You can obviously change these coordinates, but these are the ones that we find to be the best, to work the best, at least. Then we will make the armor stand invisible. You don't need it, but I personally think it looks better when it's invisible. Now let's go straight to the barrage, to the stand barrage. Again, we'll test for a stand user. Then we'll test for whether there is an item named iron ingot, which we'll be using for the barrage. If it finds it, then we will set this block to air. This block is this one right over here. Why do we want to set it to air? That's because if it's constantly following us, then it'll just be a little annoying once we do the barrage and we want it to be in front of us to do it. So we turn this off. This will stop teleporting the armor stand in front of us. And then we do this. Then we'll TP the iron ingot away from the player. We'll then teleport the armor stand in front of the stand user for it to do the barrage. We'll give wither to all those in front of the stand. Then we'll play a sound. In this case, we'll be using piston. We'll play this particle and this other particle. So whenever you use stand barrage, it'll look like this. Once you have that done, we'll then use another redstone torch for when this one deactivates. We'll want to set the redstone wire back in the same coordinates over here. Remember to use your own coordinates in order to have it follow us again after it finishes the barrage, and then we'll give the stand user their iron ingot back. Now after this activates, after a certain amount of time has passed, we'll kill the iron ingot. Now let's say that you don't want to use an iron ingot and you don't want it to have a time limit to how long you can use it. Then you can simply swap this command block out for one that tests instead, or well, one that tries to enchant a sword with sharpness. Then we can simply break this command block, which is the one that gives you the iron ingot. You can then remove this command that constantly teleports the item used. We don't need to remove the command block. I'm not going to remove it because it will just complicate things more. But you can just remove that one instead, and then move all these down. And then we can remove the timer that kills the item of iron ingot. And with that, whenever you hold the sword, you'll use stand barrage. You can do this with any type of enchantment and any type of enchantable item, such as tools, armors, and weapons. And with that, the stand user basics are done. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and comment down below any suggestions for any other characters you'd like to see. Also, we have a Discord now! Wow! If you didn't know that, then please be sure to go down to the description and join us. Please.